Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
Yeah, I think having your own crews is really a wonderful thing, especially if it's you or me, because I know that my guys have been with me on average over 10 years each one. I just retired a 35-year guy that was with me 35 years. So look, I can feel comfortable that no matter whose home they go into, one of our core values in our company is treat your home like it's your mom's. Treat the home like it's your mom. And so I can feel comfortable that they're going to care for the place, but being able to have the control, that's the thing. Because with subs, look, I had great subs when I was building homes and guys in teams that I used forever, but you never know who they're going to send. They go up and down, something happens, they get pulled somewhere else.
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to the Around the House show. Thanks for tuning in. Last week, we talked a little bit about designing kitchens and stuff. And this week, why not jump into bathrooms? And we have Matt Plaskoff here, President and CEO of 1 Week Bath. Welcome to the Around the House show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Eric. Good to join you.
Thanks for coming on today, man. You have been doing this for about as long as I have down in Southern California, focusing on bathrooms. And man, that is a tough market to be in down there. And you have learned a way to make this whole thing successful.
Yeah, just like you, I've been 35 plus years in the business, started in the custom home building world, and then was looking for a better way and developed this bath business about 22 years ago or so. So 4,500 plus bathrooms later, here we are.
Man, and I tell you what, and you're one of the few businesses out there that when you jump online and look, there's not a legitimate business out there with 100% Yelp reviews, because I tell you what, that's how everybody gets back at contractors in this day and age. But you have done a solid job, I can tell just online, of keeping people happy and managing projects. I can't find anybody out there that's done it better when you jump online.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, look, you're doing 250, 300 projects a year. Thank goodness. Occasionally something comes up that. And I think the key to it is just making sure that you resolve issues and that I've never walked away from anything. We don't walk away from anything. Our team is amazing. I'd love to take credit, but we have an amazing aftercare team. Brian, who runs all the crews. I think, fortunately, I've been able to populate my company with people that are customer centric. And I think that's what it takes. Certainly I have to drive it, but yeah, it's a big deal for me. That's one of the things that would keep me up at night, is if people weren't happy. So
exactly. And it sounds like you've just done a great job of creating that culture. And that's really where that success goes, because if you can keep all of those people out there heading in the right direction, which is on that consumer that's hired you to do the project or even look into a project, if you can keep everybody going the same direction, that's on you, brother. And nice job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, consumers, they're scared. Let's face it. Most of them are scared to death. So that's our approach. That's how we approach it. Is we know they're fearful. We know they're scared. How do we give them peace? And that's the approach, right?
Yeah. And it comes down to planning on these projects too, right? It looks like you guys have a pretty solid system of getting things going before the job starts, because that's really where projects start to come off the rails, is when those materials don't show up or that planning went sideways.
Yeah, I think that what I decided with this business, and I was a design builder even when we were building custom homes and big projects, but first of all, we couldn't have our own people, because you can't keep 50 roofers on staff and 50 carpenters on staff. You had to sub things out. And as I started to get a little long in the tooth, I was like, man, there's got to be a better way here. So the design build thing where we are soup to nuts eliminates the disconnect between what the designer envisioned and what the contractor envisioned. And that's obviously a big disconnect. And so that since we're managing the entire process from start to finish, design, product procurement, we can guarantee that everything's going to be there before we start. We're not going to tear your house apart until we have everything we need to put it back together. And then once we show up, we're going to make a commitment to be there every single day without any gaps, which is super rare. And you know how hard it is to try to maintain a schedule like that. But it's the only way to, you got to be accountable for the whole project from start to finish, in my opinion.
If you are just joining us, we're talking with Matt Plaskoff from 1 Week Bath. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, no question. And materials is interesting. We learned that, through 2019, 2020, and 21 with COVID and the materials. Just, where's my tile? It's on a container ship out in the bay and it's been there for 6 weeks. When's that going to be? Your good question, right? Some of that stuff is tough, but if you're managing the project correctly, yeah, you're starting late, but you're not hung up without a bathroom for months on end waiting for that materials to show up.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And we all had to shuck and jive with that because we had to keep our people and we had to create enough backlog such that product would be available when we were supposed to start. And even today, I tell people, because look, most contractors, they want to tear your house apart. They're expecting the homeowner to buy the stuff or they don't have the stuff. They just want to get started. And so for us, we had to be very, committed and diligent about not doing that because of that. Even today, some of the lead times are longer than what we would hope and expect. But our model is don't tear Eric's house apart until you have every stitch of everything you need to put it back together. Because there's no, like you said, that typical thing where it's, okay, we'll be back in 6 weeks when the tile shows up is insanity.
Yeah, I had a container coming from a cabinet company in the East Coast. It was in town. It's like, all right, I know where it is. It'll be at my warehouse next week. We're starting to plan this start. And semi-driver took the exit too fast and rolled it over on its side. And we lost a whole container of cabinets. And you're like, all right, I'm going to start over on this 8-week lead time again or worse. And so those are those things that happen. And it's always the consumer that kind of always is like, what's going on? But if you haven't started it, at least you don't have 8 weeks of nobody sitting there in that bathroom not getting anything done as you're waiting to get everything else done.
That's true. And our model is that we have a warehouse, which is somewhat rare for contractors, but we have 10,000 square feet. And basically, we're not going to start the job unless we know that we have everything sitting there, checked, every box open, nothing's damaged, ready to go at least 2 weeks before the job starts. And that gives us like enough room to breathe where if, God forbid, that happens, look, homeowners will understand if you're like, this happened, but they're not going to understand if they're like without a space forever. Why did you start? Why didn't you wait? That kind of stuff. But then it's a double-edged sword because when you're talking to people and they're like, what do you mean you can't start for 8 to 10 weeks? Joey down the street says you can start in 2 weeks or a week. And you just have to be disciplined to be able to say, look, we've been doing this a long time. We know what can go wrong. And if you want to go with Joey, then have fun. But it's not the right approach. So
on many times you still, even starting 6, 8, 10 weeks later, odds are you're going to get that thing done before Joey does, just because he's waiting for the same stuff. He's just wanting to get in there and swing a hammer so we can get that first check coming. And then there's going to be weeks without work being done.
Yeah. And that's the question that you have to ask yourself if you're a homeowner. Do you want to wait 8 to 10 weeks and then just go through a week of pain or whatever? Or do you want to get started right away because it's exciting and then you're torn up for 10 weeks plus however long it takes them to do it? And most people are logical and they say, yeah, I get it. The industry is the industry and what we're doing is so unique. What they hear from most contractors is, yeah, don't worry, we'll get started. And that's what they hear. So.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And all of a sudden they're like, yeah, the tile guy will be out here in 2 or 3 weeks, but we got the electrical rough end done and the plumbing rough end. So yeah, Jimmy will be back out here in 3 weeks when he gets cleared up with his schedule. And that's one of the problems that you see out there as well is with many contractors out there is if they're little tiny contractors that are either doing it themselves or subbing it out, you run into all these different issues of the shower not being done correctly, or worst case, his subs aren't, or her subs aren't showing up on time out there. And that can be a struggle for anybody, but it sounds like you guys really have that dialed in with this design build approach.
Yeah, I think having your own crews is really a wonderful thing, especially if it's you or me, because I know that my guys have been with me on average over 10 years each one. I just retired a 35-year guy that was with me 35 years. So look, I can feel comfortable that no matter whose home they go into, one of our core values in our company is treat your home like it's your mom's. Treat the home like it's your mom's. And so right. I can feel comfortable that they're going to care for the place, but being able to have the control, that's the thing. Because with subs, look, I had great subs when I was building homes and guys in teams that I used forever, but you never know who they're going to send. They go up and down. Right. Something happens, they get pulled somewhere else, then the whole house of cards falls down. When you have your own people, you can say, hey, I'm going to put a supervisor on site full time. Everybody can communicate. They're going to show up every day at 7. They're going to leave every day at 3:30. It's like a whole different ball game. But with that, to go back to what we were talking about, you got to have the stuff there, because otherwise you got guys standing on shovels. And that's painful from a financial perspective. So those two puzzle pieces, they lock in. So you've got the stuff, you've got the guys, you can trust them. And then you don't have the finger pointing, you don't have the plumber blaming the tile guy.
Hey guys, it's Eric G from Around the House Show. We'd really appreciate your help with some awesome 5-star reviews on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you tune into your podcast. Big thanks everyone, and a shout out to our dedicated listeners of Around the House.
It's just a headache. So
that's the worst part is the finger pointing, right? That's the worst part is that with the subs going, no, it was them. And you've got 4 businesses now and their representatives out there trying to figure out what's going on. And the homeowners just going, who's in control of this situation? And that just gets ugly for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I think that just having our homeowners are just like, they love the fact that they can just call one place and that's what it is. So yeah, it's great. It's a great thing.
That's a great place to be right there, which is where I had to ask you, this 1-week bath concept, that's pretty rare out there as well. Cause even when you got the materials there, that's a tough pull right there.
Yeah. Especially when you're getting permits and things, because here you need a permit to change a faucet. And so, but it's really not a tough thing if, truth be told, we do 7 and 8 day projects too. If someone says, hey, like a basic bath, right? We can do in 5 days, no problem. Yeah. There's only one inspection. Typically the inspectors are showing up for us. Obviously we can't control that, but a guest bathroom in a week is not magic. But when we do a separate shower, bigger bathroom, or someone says, hey, I want to convert my tub to a shower and we got to change the drain system from 1.5 to 2 inch, or homeowners don't like, if you say it's a 6-day project, they're like in heaven because the guy down the street's like 4-6 weeks. And the other thing is we pay our customers for every day we're late. So we put our money where our mouth is. If we don't meet when we're not working multifamily projects, because those condo things are a whole nother story, but when we're doing a single family residence and we've made a commitment to finish on a particular time, if we don't finish, we're forking out the dough to say we're sorry. It could happen, but if it happened all the time, our entire schedule would go to hell. And that's not what happened. So we have a system, we have a process, we have a procedure manual, we have experience. I guess it would be hard for others. Yeah. And trust me, when we first started, I had run Extreme Makeover Home Edition for 2 years. I ran that TV show for ABC and we were building houses in a week, but we had 100 guys.
I worked on some up in Seattle and that was a crazy situation. So yeah.
Okay. I was up there on that Seattle build. Alan Luxmore and I were up there. And so we took it all over the country, but I had the 1 week back idea before the show even existed. And what I learned on the show too was, if you have everything you need and you have the resources and you make the commitment to be there, you can get these things done with quality. I mean, they're custom quality every bit as good as I used to build in my other company that took me 4 to 6 weeks to 2 months. Some of those master bathrooms would take me 3 months. I'm getting them done 4 or 5 times faster just because we have everything and we're making a commitment to be there and we have the experience.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll be the first to say, as a host of a TV show myself, when you turn the cameras on, you want to slow a project down. That's exactly how you do it, is turn the cameras on and get the TV crews installed in there, because what takes an hour now takes 2.
And the EP is always saying, hey, find something wrong. I need some drama. But it was fun. It was like going to camp and war at the same time. But
yeah, I definitely saw the war side, just rain and weather and all the stuff that gets thrown at a job site, especially on a short time when you've got a handful of days to get a house done and you get a rainstorm pop in. It changed the game pretty quick.
Yeah, that Seattle show, it rained and it was rough. But
yeah. I walked in and volunteered on that one, so I remember that. So yeah.
That's funny. I'm sure we ran into each other. That was a long time. That was over 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
About 20
so
years
yeah,
ago.
It's interesting. Depending on the city, you're in Southern California right now, and that's some of the challenges we have in the city of Portland, which is the metro area I'm in here with those guys. Sometimes you'll call the inspection in the afternoon and maybe you've got a shower pan inspection up here that you have to do, and you're hoping they show up in the morning, but sometimes they don't show up until the afternoon, which can absolutely kill the construction schedule. But I love your model because everybody can be working on everything else around there and get jumping back on that once they get to that, where if you're a contractor with subs, can't really do it that easily.
Totally. You just hit it on the head, because the typical construction project, as we know, is very linear. It's okay. The hot mopper came in, did his thing. The thing's full of water. We got to wait. And then the tile guy can start. But you can't bring anybody else in. But in our model and the model that we're talking about, first of all, we're using like a Schluter system. So it's a cold system. We get it done. And if you know what, if the inspector doesn't show up, we can still tile the floor. We can still install the cabinet. We can still paint the walls. We can do everything but tile the wet space. And so it becomes more fluid in that way. And that's that when people say, I've lost jobs because contractors told homeowners, there's no way they can get it done. There's no possible way. They're crazy. But you're right. You hit it on the head. It becomes nonlinear. And if it's a bigger job, you have a few extra days. It's not. Now, if an inspector doesn't show up for days on end, or, you
can't control that.
What are you going to do? And it's more of a hassle for us than for the homeowner. The homeowners, I understand. And we're like, yeah, but our schedule looks like Tetris. So
exactly.
It's gnarly that way. But yeah. So
absolutely. And that's what's crazy with that, is you get into that situation where it's just like, all right, but that's the beauty of it. And that other contractor wasn't wrong, actually, because the way they're doing it, it's not going to get done that quickly because of their system. And not calling them a liar, but you're right. They're not calling in the guy to be doing the other stuff. They had somebody scheduled on that job and their other subs not in the building. They're on another job. And you're right. You're not going to get that done in that situation because you don't have that flexibility and the ability with your schedule to be able to pivot like a normal construction project when things get a little crazy like that with the schedule, because they always do.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not deceptive. They're like, hey, we can't control it, and this is what it is. And the other part of that is that the minute you have a delay like that, because you've got these subs all lined up, is all of a sudden the tile guys, if I can't start on Thursday, I can't see you for 3 weeks. And then it becomes even worse. But you and I both know, like, our industry is so archaic. This is the way grandpa did it. And that's okay. There's some beautiful things about old craftsmanship. And I was a carpenter when I started 40 years ago. And so, but I'm all about new methods and new materials and improving the system, where our industry tends to be very, we float showers and we use hot mop and we use flex conduit and it's okay. If you want to do it like that, then it is what it is, No,
it's my favorite little saying that I see in social media out there that just makes the hair stand up on my neck. I've been doing it this way for 30 years, right? It's that I've been doing it this way for 30 years. And it's a lot of things have changed in 30 years. So maybe you need to upgrade. Look at everything around us. Look at electronics. Look at everything else in the home that is upgraded. I mean, yeah, hot mopping worked, did its thing, but sorry, Schluter system to me is a better system. And a lot of the other systems are better. They're just, technology's better.
Dude, pagers worked. Pagers
Right?
and fax machines worked. And we used to ring each other 2 rings because it was too expensive to call long distance. That stuff worked. But it's why? I get it. And you and I both know that this whole craftsmanship thing, the mentorship programs, thank goodness, I think some of the craftsmanship mentor programs are coming back because that was lost. People didn't like. But anyway, that's funny. I'm totally with you on that. But
that's one of the crazy ones. And it's the guys that are out there that have been doing it for a long time. They're grabbing the green board drywall and they're tiling right over the top of that in the shower. And I've never had a failure. And I'm like, they've never called you back to fix it. And it's just that kind of stuff that drives me nuts.
It looks good from my house guy. Yeah.
Absolutely. And funny, I learned a lot about how Southern California construction. It's funny. In different parts of the country, there are so many different trends. Like hot mopping is really a Southern California thing for showers, right? And it's just what it is. But I didn't even realize some of the issues that you see down there that are different until my good friend Skip Bedell did Catch a Contractor down there with Adam Carolla on Spike TV Network. And I saw some of the unlicensed, really bad side of contractors down there, the guys that were basically the illegitimate contractors taking the projects out of the good contractors' hands. And most of them down there are good, but it's just shocking to see, like in any area, how bad contracting gets when the consumer finds the wrong person. And that's the dangerous side of any of these projects. And what I think many homeowners are really fearful of is, okay, I'm going into business with somebody that's going to be inside my house, and I hope they do this. And I think, people like you that are out there are really helping put that to rest and really helping the industry, because people can look at it and go, wow, this is a good system. This is good. And you're in and out, and I get my project done the right way, but fast.
It's a little bit about money, right? Because when you have those guys you're talking about competing, you're competing against them. And the homeowner doesn't know. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to and I say, you know what, send me the proposal. Let me look at the proposal. I will tear it apart, because most of these guys aren't including everything. Most of these guys might not have a license or insurance or any of this stuff. And if the homeowner gets 3 bids and 2 of them are like super cheap, and ours is more expensive, their brain goes to, Matt must be crazy. But the problem is that there's more of those types of guys than there are of the legits. California, it's interesting because, California is a very difficult place to work. It's very consumer centric, which is good. They just put a new clause in the home improvement contracts that require that the contractor give the homeowner their insurance agent's phone number because there were so many fake insurance certs going around that homeowners didn't know. The guy would send a cert that was like whited out or whatever. And so California said, no, we're not doing that anymore. You got to put the insurance agent's name and number so that the consumer can call and say, hey, does this guy legit have insurance? And so you try to protect against everything, but there's always going to be a situation where it's a great deal and a homeowner is willing to take the risk and liability, and you can't compete with that. You don't.
No, and it's the scariest word in an estimate. The scariest line that I ever see in a bathroom is custom tile shower, $4,000.
Yeah. What are you doing exactly? What kind of tile?
What are you doing? Right?
Is it marble? Is it porcelain? Are they big tiles? Is it mosaic? Is it glass? That's what I go through, right? So
are these 4x4 tiles that came out of the Restore? What do you got there, man? What are you doing? And what's behind it?
It's funny because 4x4. If you look at the cost value study that Remodeling Magazine does every year, right? They have these I love it too. They have these average price points across the nation or whatever. We're on the same coast, so we get the same numbers. But it's so funny because the definition of the bathroom that is the definition of what the bathroom will be is what we're tearing out. So it'll say,
right? They call it mid-range, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. There's not even a cabinet in this that you guys have on your list of things. Those details are the key, right?
It's bad. It's about the details. But look, truthfully, most contractors don't have a mechanism to work out the details up front before they sign an agreement. They don't have the design piece. They expect the homeowner to go out and buy all this stuff, and they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know quality product. They don't know good price. They don't know anything.
Hey, it's Eric G. from Around the House. Are you planning a decking or siding project this year? If you are, you've got to check out my friends at Millboard. Millboard is a completely different kind of composite decking and cladding that enhances outdoor spaces with enduring distinction. Hand-molded from the finest oak, it realistically mimics the natural grain and color of premium hardwood. If you're looking for something that doesn't look like plastic and instead real wood, check out millboard.com. Make sure and check out that interview we did just a few weeks back. That's millboard.com.
And so it is rare on a smaller project, like a bathroom, for example. Like when we're doing big projects, right? Design build is very prevalent. You have your architect and your designer and your builder. But on small like kitchens, even there are more design build kitchen companies. But with the bathroom, what I figured out was the little guy, the people that are appreciative of doing a bathroom remodel, and we are very appreciative because that's what we do, are usually smaller companies that don't have the mechanism to help the homeowner figure out the details. So they just put allowances that are unrealistic. They say, here's the labor number, you got to buy all the stuff. And that's where it becomes really hard for a homeowner because they can't compare. There's no way to compare.
Yeah. And that's why I think is a big deal is when you're looking at when there's no materials in there figured out, the contractor doesn't even have a way to bid that out really, because are they putting in a $199 store brand toilet? Or are they putting in on the extreme, the $26,000 robotic Toto? You know what I mean? It's just two extremes right there, but it's a great example. Everything, there's such big swings on every product in the bathroom from that piece of tile to the shower door.
And not only that, Eric, the product can drive labor too. So if you're installing something like when we install 2 foot tall by 4 foot wide porcelain tiles, you got to take your time. Those things weigh a ton. They got to dry before you put the next one. So it takes time. That's different than just laying 12 by 24s so when they say, yeah, whatever, you can buy whatever you want, then all of a sudden the homeowner comes with this glass mosaic for the shower. And the guy's, that's going to take me like 3 extra days. Here's your change order. And then that's what happens. And it's not the homeowner's fault. They don't know what they don't know. And so that's the challenge. That's why anything that anybody gives anybody is an estimate. It's not real unless you actually work through every detail. Like in our thing, literally when the homeowner signs off, it says caulking and every part that goes into that bathroom is listed, because then it's real. Then it's a real number. Absolutely. It's not some pie in the sky guess. But again, it's all driven by this is how we've always done it. And that's rough.
Problem. And you're right. I worked with a number of contractors on the design side of things, and I love looking down the list and going, all right, you got the 12 cabinet knobs figured out on here. Perfect. You know what that is, right? So now you know what that is. And whether or not you're adding that, just adding that heated tile floor can be a big deal, because all of a sudden now you have to have a new electrical circuit run across the house to that. And so sometimes these little adds can be a massive deal, especially like in a place like California, where maybe it's really hard because there's not a crawl space or basement to be working.
Yeah. Are we the only ones that have slabs?
You, Texas, South, we have some stuff here, but a lot of places across the country are not slab on grade construction, but it gives you a lot less options to get plumbing and electrical someplace.
Yeah. And again, when you're doing those tub to shower conversions, you got to break the drain out and you got to change the pipe, and but you know what? There's so many old homes that the market's giant, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I will tell you my funniest, we're going to get off topic for a second here. My craziest slab on grade home construction project I had was early in my career over in Eastern Washington in the Tri-Cities. And for all you guys listening over there on 610 KONA on the radio, yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. I ran into a government house, and this was for the Hanford nuclear project up there. General Electric in the town of Richland built a bunch of houses in there. And one of the early ones, they had messed up on the plans, thought there was a basement and dug it out for the basement, and then realized, oh, wait a minute, there's not a basement. So instead of filling it in and starting over and compacting it, since the concrete was free, since they were building nuclear reactors out there, they set it in there and poured 7-8 feet of concrete. And the whole slab was 8 feet thick. And so we literally, to move plumbing, and all the galvanized pipe, of course, was in the slab. We went in there. We had to basically tunnel out where we were doing. It was like notching out wood, but concrete, just to get the plumbing in there, because they poured that whole thing full of concrete.
The house isn't going to move.
No, you had the best. I couldn't believe it. They just kept obviously ordering concrete trucks to fill it in because it was faster. Send me 10 more trucks, and they just kept going. But that was back in the 40s and 50s. But sometimes you just run into stuff like that. You're like, never seen this ever in my life. And that's remodeling for you.
Yeah, that is remodeling. We see all kinds of crazy stuff. I found stuff in walls and ceilings and all kinds of weird stuff.
And then you get into multifamily. I've run into stuff there, even on new. Great example. I was working with the drywall contractors that come through, and we were high up in a building, and I didn't realize that the cabinets wouldn't fit. And it was a wall-to-wall situation. And I'm like, where'd we lose 1.5 inches here? Why isn't this working? Come to find out, the drywallers didn't want to carry the extra drywall down. So they put 3 layers of drywall on the inside of that. And so they had to go back in and take out the 3 layers of drywall just because they didn't want to carry it back down. You run into that stuff before, and it's head scratcher when it comes to remodeling sometimes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Home builders, building from scratch is so much easier, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So what tips do you have for homeowners out there before we run out of time? What tips do you have for people out there that are really starting to think about, okay, I got to take care of this bathroom. It's in rough shape and I know I'm not moving. How do they get started with you guys, for instance?
Yeah, with us locally, the way it happens, and by the way, I had this dream of rolling this out in every NFL city in the country, but I couldn't find very many contractors that wanted to. We franchised it and rolled it out in Kansas City to test if we could replicate it. And we did it. I had a buddy in Kansas City and we did it in Kansas City for a little bit. But so our system is pretty rare, but I think there's some things that you can learn from it, that a homeowner can learn from it and protect themselves to have a good experience. For us, if someone were to call us in Southern California, basically we get on the phone, we collect some information, we have a first phone call with them. They talk to a designer, could be me, could be one of my other 4 designers. Designer chats them up about their project. We give them a ballpark to start with based on photographs and our experience. We have a system that will ballpark these things very accurately, just from having built over 4,500 of them. And then the next step for us is that we go out to their home. This is another unique thing that we have. We have a mobile showroom, essentially Tahoes and Expeditions, and we come out with our tile samples and our cabinet samples and our countertop samples and everything we need. And we literally take them through a selection process in their home from start to finish. We have a software program we wrote that allows us to price it right there on the spot. So we don't go away. They don't call us every day for 3 weeks. Where's the bid? That whole thing.
Yeah.
They don't get like Hardy's cheese paper bid and whatever. And so we quote it right there to the penny because we have every detail, including the knobs, figured out. And then we sign a contract, go away, and we order everything. That's how it works for us. We don't exist in Oregon. We don't exist really anywhere else. I'd love to exist somewhere else, but we don't. But if I were a homeowner in your area, there are reputable contractors. There's no question. And I would look for design build contractors first, somebody who'd be interested in doing a bathroom project as a design build, because then you don't get the finger pointing. They're responsible for the whole thing. And what I would do is I'd say, listen, here's some pictures of my project. Here's what I want to do. Give me a ballpark. Just give me a range, right? And then if that range feels good, then commit to working with that individual. Of course, after you check them out, make sure that they're legit, make sure they have insurance. We have a sheet that we send to people that has 10 things you got to ask, which I could share with you at some point. But basically make sure that you've checked references, that if there's a license involved, that you check that. But I think the point is that ideally, if you can have a design build situation where I would not sign a contract to build a project unless every detail was worked out up front for all the reasons that you and I talked about, because you don't want it to change. And if you can't find a design build contractor, then you don't have a choice other than to potentially hire a designer to help you make all those selections. The problem with that is a lot of designers don't know what things cost. Some of them, frankly, don't care. And so they design something that's going to be beautiful, but that's going to blow your budget. So you have to be cognizant of that, because once you go out to the contractors, you're going to get numbers that are going to shock you. So but going out and trying to buy all this stuff yourself and figure it out. And I don't know how much time you have, but that some people enjoy it.
And that's a great example. Let's hit on that for a second. Because Matt, here's the thing. If you're sitting there as a homeowner and you went out and bought this bathroom faucet and you want your contractor to put it in, what happens when, you picked it up from the home center, didn't realize it'd be returned and parts were missing out of the box? Do you have time to step out of your meeting during the day and go run out to the home center and exchange that while your plumber's charging you a couple $100 an hour sitting there to put that thing in? Are you going to be on call 40 hours a week while they're working? That's the tough part when homeowners go out and buy stuff.
I have a worse story, Eric, which is even better. There's this liability disconnect when you go buy the materials. So what 100%. Happens is, I had a project that I did a long time ago when I was building customs, and the homeowner, he's a great guy, but he wanted to save some money on the plumbing fixtures. He didn't want to pay 20% markup or whatever. So he bought all the valves and everything for the house. And I won't mention the manufacturer because that wouldn't be nice. But he bought name brand stuff, and he bought it. We put them all in and tiled all the showers and all that stuff. And we turned on the valves and they made noise. And he came back to me and said, "This is your thing." And I said, "Nah, I don't think so." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Let's open up the wall. Let's take the valve out. Let's send it back to the manufacturer and see what they say. And if it's defective, then guess what? You get to pay to retile all the showers. And if it's not defective, then I'll pay to retile all the showers." Sure enough, this manufacturer, name brand manufacturer, the Venturi had not been deburred in the valve. So it was making all this noise. And so it turned out that because he saved, I don't know, $3,000 on valves for the whole house or whatever, because he didn't pay my markup, he had to retile all the showers. And I've had other stories like that. Someone buys a toilet and it leaks all over the hardwood floors downstairs and it's a crack. It's not we didn't do it. So there are so many reasons why buying your own stuff is a big mistake. The ideal scenario.
And a lot of times these plumbing wholesalers will give you the discount, right? So you're going in there, maybe you're getting 20, 25% off as a contractor. You're marking up because you've got to cover your costs on that stuff to order it, manage it, deliver it, pick it up, whatever. And then they're not paying that much more for it because by the time you get the discount, you mark it up, and then the liability, which is the massive part of that, you're right. It's a no-brainer. Let your contractor get your stuff. It's going to save you in the long run, especially when you calculate in that liability.
You hit the time issue, which is super valuable, and it just depends. Look, it has to do with where you're at in your life. There was a time when I would go to a restaurant and I wouldn't pay $10 for valet parking. I would walk like 30 blocks. That's not going to happen today. I'll pay $20, $25 for valet parking because my time is worth more than my money. And so that's what it is. In a lot of cases, people are like, I can save some money. But you hit it on the head. Look, we buy $500,000 a year worth of fixtures from a name brand company. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but and so we're going to get better deals than you're ever going to get. And even with our markup, you're not really paying that much of a premium. Why would you put yourself through that? But again, it's back to this is the way it is. And the contractor said he'll give me his price and we just have to buy the stuff. Yeah, that's because A, he doesn't want to put it anywhere. He doesn't have a warehouse. And B, he doesn't want to be responsible for it. I don't blame him. But
he just suckered you into buying it and you get to go out and pick it. Hey, I'll put it in for you. You're not going to be calling him. You're going to be calling the manufacturer and you're going to be finding a plumber to come out and fix that stuff for you. That's just how it's going to work.
No, you're right. So that's the biggest piece of advice is obviously you got to find someone you trust. Having it all in one place is always a better solution. The challenge is trying to figure out for yourself the numbers, because that's where it ends up. Because if you're comparing a design build contractor to a guy or gal who's just doing labor only, it's too hard to compare. So
you can't. You got apples and oranges there. Yeah.
And that's where people get hung up because they're like, this guy says it's 30 grand to do the bathroom. And this other guy says 15. That's the problem. So look, make sure the person has insurances, proper insurances. Liability insurance, super important. It's not required by California. Workers' comp is, but I don't know what it's like up in Oregon. But liability insurance, plumber comes in with a torch, burns your house down, and doesn't have any liability insurance. Good luck. So you don't want it's about risk and return in a lot of cases. But yeah.
Yeah, here you've got to be licensed, bonded, and insured. And the state is so on top of this here that you can go on to our state website. And if that contractor missed a payment on their insurance, their bond, any of that stuff, state law says that they have to immediately know the state. And in 15 minutes, their license is suspended until that gets updated again. So I'll tell you what, they're quick here on that stuff, but that is not the case in most states.
There's states I know of. I have friends throughout the country that are contractors. You don't even need a permit. You don't need a license. You don't need, but
it's just the Wild West, and it's not in the West.
Yeah, exactly. The wild Midwest
or East or Northeast even. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
it's crazy. So Matt, how do people? We got to wrap up. We're running out of time here, and I know your time's valuable here as well. And thanks for coming on today. But how do people track you down if you're down in Southern California down there and I need a bathroom? Where do they find you at?
So you can find us on the web, of course, oneweekbath.com, oneekbath.com. It's a beautiful website. There are a lot of projects on there. You can look at pictures, get ideas. You just hit us up through the website, and Robbie in our office will connect with you and take some information. And then you'll work with one of the designers. It might be me. I don't do as much as I used to. I do mostly repeat and referral clients, or you call 1-800-1-WEEK, ONEEK. It's 663-9335 for those that don't want to figure it out. So you can do that. And there's an email on the website as well. We have an Instagram, 1 Week Bath LA, Facebook, all that good stuff. But yeah, we work. So our primary area is down to Orange County up to Ventura County, but we also halo out to San Diego, Santa Barbara, and then out to the desert. We do some of that stuff as well, depending on the project. But yeah, and I so appreciate you having me on. I also work with remodelers, by the way, doing some coaching to help them develop their systems and their businesses. I've got a guy in Texas I work with. I've got a couple others. And so people need help, reach out to me. You can reach out through the website and just tell the office that you're a remodeler, you want to have a conversation with me, and we'll set a time and I'll do my best to give you a piece of advice.
Thanks, Matt. Man, that is awesome. And yeah, you got a great system here. So we got a huge remodeling audience out there of contractors and even builders. And I'm sure with that experience and what you've got going here, you can help a lot of people out in the trades out there as well. So thanks for coming on today, my friend. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks, Eric. I'd love to bring it to Portland too someday. Maybe somebody up there wants to do it and I'll teach them how to do it. But thanks for the time, and I hope to catch you again. If you want to have another chat, just reach out to me.
We will do it. All right, everybody, I'm Eric G, and you've been listening to Around the House.
Somewhere unseen and undiscovered, life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you. We're all over the radio.
Hey, it's Eric G with Around the House. Are you looking to grow your business? Need a spokesperson for your company? Maybe an MC for an upcoming trade show? Or maybe you want to up your game and shoot some promotional videos? My team of experts would love to chat with you. Head to AroundTheHouseOnline.com and fill out the Contact Us form, and we'll set something up. Thanks for listening to Around the House.